Melbourne, Australia, overrun by African gangs. Its streets filled with violence, terror, and menace. That's how some local media and politicians are depicting the southern city, and is fueling debate and social tensions. But how accurate are the so-called threats? I'm Steve Chow. On this episode of 101 East, we investigate the truth behind the headlines.
Yeah, Brimbank 150, just to let you know, we're Code 1 and we'll be patrolling around the Sunshine CBD.
Detective Acting Inspector Helen Chugg and Senior Sergeant Jason Forster are out on patrol in Melbourne's northwestern suburbs.
260, how many suspects are we looking for?
21 Hot Egg Burger and a vehicle stolen. 4 offenders that have jumped into the complainant's vehicle and decamped from the address 2 minutes ago. It's 4 male heads on board, hoodies, jeans, Caucasian, 2 dark-skinned males. Don't have a direction of travel.
So where was the car last seen? Okay, so what's the situation there now?
Reports of a home invasion are coming in.
Front flywire door was unlocked. The solid timber door behind it was locked. They've kicked that in, damaged the lock. 4 family members were seated around the kitchen table, made a demand for keys to the Audi. Then they've decamped back out the front door, got in the Audi, drove off.
Okay, if you can just get the units to keep an eye out for a black Audi 2013.
It seems to be quite a brazen crime, isn't it, to kick in the door of someone's home while they're at home?
Yeah, it's horrendous. Yeah, it's a horrendous crime, you know, absolutely it is.
Violent home invasions like this have residents in these suburbs on edge. In March, Leah and her husband Gavin were asleep when 4 teenagers broke down their back door.
I just remember just yelling and just screaming at us to just shut up and just give us money, and Gavin got out of the bed and physically pushed. We had 2 of them in the room and he got up and physically pushed them out and shut the bedroom door on them. He's then grabbed a baseball bat from underneath the bed, at which point a hammer's come through the bedroom door multiple times of them trying to get in with us, with literally our entire body weight on the door, trying to prevent them from getting to us.
Home security cameras captured Gavin chasing the young men out the front, but he couldn't stop them stealing both their cars.
It's too traumatising for me to go back there and remember it. I don't know how they can say that the crime rate is falling, because everyone I know nobody feels safe.
The teenagers, described as being of African appearance, are still on the run.
Every time I see a black person down the street or just anywhere, it's like a trigger. Before all of this happened, I wasn't scared of black people or people of colour or whatever, but now it's like I can't even face someone in a store that's black because of what's happened to me. And I think that's really unfair. It shouldn't be like that. It's not them, they haven't done anything wrong to me, but I can't help but associate that night with them, and that's what's really unfair.
We just need to call it for what it is if it's African gang violence.
African gangs running riots, terrorising, robbing, wreaking havoc.
People are scared to go to restaurants at the night time because they're followed home by these gangs.
You guys know what you want? What's yeah. They have to sit outside, boss.
You feel like you have to be on your best behavior 24/7 because you feel like you're representing your skin color for everyone that's just like you. So you have to be this extra nice person, like extra smile. Even if you're not feeling it that day, you just have to have a smile on because if you don't, you look scary. You get stared at. It's like, imagine someone's looking through you or like looking, like, you know, like someone's eyes are just burning the side of your head. That's what it feels like, essentially.
That's good. I've got mixed garlic and sweet chili.
Okay.
I've got mixed garlic and sweet chili again. And then I've got chicken.
Thank you.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
20-year-old Titan was separated at birth from his parents during Sudan's brutal civil war. He hasn't seen them since.
When I was born, the war and everything was happening, so me and my mom got separated. But my grandma, being the hero she is and, you know, the strong lady she is, took me with her.
How many classes are How many hours are your classes for?
Melbourne has been his home since he was 5.
Every day, I have to try to convince you, oh, I'm Australian. I think, you know what? We know we're Australian. We grew up here. Who do we have to, why should I have to convince you I'm Australian?
Wherever they go, Titan and his friends feel judged.
You gotta realize it's like 1% of us, right? There's crime in every single race. There's people that commit crime in every single race. But with us, for some reason, it gets put onto the whole culture. Our whole, you know, culture gets blamed for the actions of the few now.
Two armed gangs of young thugs are threatening a violent confrontation at tonight's Moomba Festival.
Police arrived to reclaim the streets, but it was too late and they were outnumbered.
The focus on African gang crime began in March 2016, when violence broke out at the Moomba Festival at Federation Square in the centre of Melbourne.
We had two groups of African young people coming together in Melbourne. There was a fight broke out and it became a rolling maul, if you like. Some of that was because the police became involved and we started chasing these young people. People were seeing chairs being flown, they were seeing people being chased down the street by police, and that created a whole narrative in the media at the time and a lot of political pressure.
I mean, you saw the videos. There was stupid kids that got riled up, right? That did dumb stuff and they should be, you know? Like, it's not right what they did. I don't agree with it at all. It was stupid.
Police charged 37 people over the Moomba violence. Several were linked to a group known as the Apex Gang.
So just a bunch of young kids from a small area. Largely people from a South Sudanese background, although we did have some Maoris and people from other Pacific Islanders in that group.
Apex was notorious for home invasions and carjackings in the city's southeast. Police say at its peak, the group numbered around 130 young men. But after an intense crackdown on Apex, police say it's now been dismantled.
We just don't see them, you know, we're just not seeing that tag or that group in our crimes anymore.
Victoria Police are facing further criticism with claims they've lost control to street gangs.
We have mayhem, we have anarchy.
There is a specific problem in Victoria to do with people of African background.
We need true law and order, we need safety.
I don't see it as a violent African gang crisis, no. Certainly we have an issue. We have an issue with our youth in this state, but I believe that we are containing that issue.
Okay, everybody, welcome to Regnant Shift. Now, tell me who's worked Regnant before. Show of hands.
Detective Acting Inspector Chugg is briefing her team before another night out on patrol.
So just be careful that you don't get tied up with other jobs. You are specifically here to respond to any high harm offending.
They are part of a dedicated task force tackling youth crime in Melbourne's west.
So the Wayward Task Force came about as a result of the